Hi everyone, in this tutorial we're going to learn how to create a switch button that lets us switch between light and dark modes, like this. We're gonna build the dark mode and light mode screens, this simple and quick tutorial. So let's get started. So let's start by creating the dark mode screen. I'm gonna copy this frame and change its background to dark mode frame BG as instructed. And continue by creating the logo background, a rectangle with the properties instructed here. I'm gonna change its corner radius. And lastly, I'm gonna change its background color, right? So we're gonna continue with creating the logo. I'm gonna copy the logo here and center it to the background. And change the icons and text's color. After creating the logo and its background, we're gonna continue with creating the buttons, right? So as instructed here, we're gonna create a rectangle with the properties mentioned here. And change its color and its corner radius and center it. And I'm gonna create the button text. It's going to be dark blue. And I'm going to center it to the button. Make sure it's center aligned. Actually, we can make it full width to make sure, even though the text changes, it's going to be placed at the center horizontally. So we're not using auto layout to keep both of the buttons sizes same, and we're not using also components and variants to create the prototype quickly, as this is going to be a smart animate between the two screens, right? So I'm gonna copy the login button. I'm gonna create the sign up button as a secondary one. So I'm gonna make the changes to the background. And also changing the text's color. And I'm gonna group the secondary buttons elements and make sure I have 24 pixels of space between them. I'm gonna group the both buttons and make sure they have 100 pixels of spacing between the logo background, right? So we're gonna continue with creating the bottom section's background as instructed here. So I'm gonna create a rectangle with the properties here. and I'm gonna change its color. And continue with creating the bottom elements. So I'm gonna copy these two icons and I'm gonna place them on the bottom background and change their colors to dark mode blue. Since in the dark screen the dark icon is going to be active one, I'm gonna keep the light mode or sun icon stroke only and keep its opacity at 70% as mentioned in the instructions. So I'm gonna continue by creating the switch and start doing it by creating the rectangle as mentioned here. I'm gonna delete its fill and create 2 pixels of stroke inside and change the stroke's color to dark mode bottom BG as mentioned here. And the next step is creating the handle of the switch and changing its size and color. While the switch handle is aligned to the switch background on the left, I'm gonna press 5 times to the right arrow key to leave 3 pixels of spacing between the background and the handle. To complete the dark mode screen's design, I'm going to do the proper placement of the bottom elements. In order to do that, I'm gonna group the switch elements and center the switch to its background, both horizontally and vertically, and then leave 30 pixels of space between the icons and the switch element by actually subtracting 30 from the X value of the moon icon. And after placing the light mode icon next to the switch button, I'm going to add 30 to its X value and complete the positioning of the bottom elements. As we completed the dark mode screen design, we can move on creating the light mode screen, right? So I'm gonna clone the dark mode screen and start making the changes by changing its background to light mode frame BG. And continue with changes on the top section, changing the logo background gradient to light mode top BG and icons style to light mode logo gradient, and the titles color to dark blue. So let's continue with changing the buttons colors, right? So I'm gonna select the buttons group and to be able to quickly make the changes, I'm gonna select this dark mode color and change it into dark green. All the light greens used in dark mode are going to be turned into dark green, and change the dark blue to white. And I'm gonna continue creating the light screen with the changes at the bottom section, right? So after selecting the bottom section's background, I'm gonna change its style to light mode bottom BG, and I'm gonna change the icon's styles. Since this icon is going to be inactive in the light mode, I'm gonna reduce its opacity to be 70% and change its color to blue under the light mode colors. But since this dark mode icon is not going to have fill in its inactive state, I'm going to delete its fill and add a 2 pixel of stroke to its center and change the stroke's color to blue under the light mode colors. And since the light mode icon is going to be active in this state, first I'm gonna make its opacity 100% and add a fill to it. And delete its stroke. Only change left in the light mode is changing the style and positioning of the switch button, right? So I'm gonna select the switch here and change both colors to dark green. And also in light mode, since the handle is going to be on the right, I'm gonna position it properly. So I guess we completed the light mode look, right? Now the only step left is completing the prototype, right? So I'm gonna go to the prototype mode and select in the switch background. I'm gonna drag an interaction to the light mode screen and leave the trigger on tap and change the transition to smart animate. Leave the easing at ease out, and I'm gonna also leave the duration at 300 milliseconds. I'm also going to drag an interaction from the light mode to the dark one, and since Figma is going to remember the exact same settings, our prototype should work as intended. So I'm clicking the switch button here, and the transition happens to the light mode, and vice versa, right? Hope you liked the tutorial. Be sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, as I'm going to make more tutorials. So see you in the next one.